Hi, my name is Mai. I would like to welcome you to this seminar, which we call Interfaith Encounter, a training for everyday life. We are very happy that you want to join us. We are 3 persons inviting to the seminar. We do not see ourselves as experts in this field. What we want is just to share with you the experience of a pilot project that we tried last summer. This is what we are going to do to the following 2 hours. We are going to tell you about us, a little bit about our own migrations background, about how comes that we found each other, and why we want to give an education on existential conversations together. We then are going to explain how the interfaith education works and what is so special about just this model. We are also going to explain why we did it and why we want to do it again. This whole introduction is taking about 30 minutes. After that, we're going to show you a short movie with impressions from the education and the participants sharing their final evaluation with us. After the film, we would love to listen to you, to your critical questions, your own experience about interfaith encounter, or about the CPE model, your ideas, your advice, or your encouragement. We would like to establish a contact with you in Europe and in Sweden, working with this field, with interfaith encounter or with CPE education. You are also welcome if you just want to listen to the program without talking or sharing. So I start with myself. My name is Mai. As you can see, I am an Asian. I came from Vietnam, and I have been here for over 30 years. Corina and me, it happened that we go swimming at the indoor pool at the same time. So we met regularly without knowing each other. And both of us, we like to be in the sauna after swimming. As you might know, in the sauna, there is usually a lot of conversations going on, both happy ones and sometimes unhappy ones. So through our conversations with others, we notice each other. I forget to tell you that I am a Buddhist. I can say that I am a practitioner of Buddhism. And that means that I try to use what I learn in my everyday life. I have a Vietnamese teacher who is a Mahayana Buddhist, and I also have had a Tibetan teacher. And I have been through a lot of difficult times when I lived in Vietnam, and thanks to a lot of work that Swedish and others had done for us, my family could leave Vietnam and come to Sweden. Moreover, the Buddhist philosophy helped me a lot. I learned that I am the one who is responsible for what happened in my life. I learned to look within myself instead of pointing out. And I even learned the power of giving. Through this insight, I become the one I am now. So I have my own experience of dealing with very difficult situations and feelings. And I wish I could share this experience and knowledge with others. I wish to contribute to my fellow human beings. As I said before, Corina and me, we notice each other through our conversation with others. I found that Corina is a calm and empathetic person. When I got to know that Corina worked at the hospital as a priest, I told her my wish to help, to share with others. I wish that I can help others and show them that it is possible to survive and to get through even in stressful situations. So I learned that there is a volunteers group of Red Cross visiting patients at the hospital. So I got the contact with Peter, a leader of a volunteers group, and that was my time. That was the beginning of my time as a volunteer of Red Cross. That is also the way to lead me to the education that we are talking about today.
My name is Corina. Before that time that Mai described, before meeting at the indoor swimming pool, and before I got to see Mai working and talking to people in an amazing way, and long before she started working at the Red Cross, and long before I was asking her if she would like to join to hold an education together with me, long time before that, I've been longing for this kind of education for a long time. I have been bearing with me an own positive experience of just that kind of interfaith training since I participated in such an education almost 30 years ago in the United States. At that time, I was still living in my home country in Germany. I had finished my theoretical studies at the university, and I wished to become a priest, and to be a good priest, I wished to be good at talking with people. And I was working part-time at the place in the center of Berlin, central Berlin, in Bahnhof Zoo, and I worked there in order to earn money. At this work, I often felt very helpless meeting reality. I met all kinds of people seeking for help. They could differ in age and culture and background. They were travelers, not seeing any meaning in life. I met children who escaped from home, lonely people not wanting to live, homeless people, poor people, people selling sex in order to buy drugs, and so on. And I recognized that having this huge theoretical education I got could not help me in reality. I felt that I needed a proper training in meeting existential questions so I could help some people or could be there and listen to them in a good way. Such a practical training would not be part of my regular education, not in Germany and not in Sweden, but in some parts of the United States it is part of the education. So what I was doing was looking for a training program, and I found the interfaith CPE, so-called Clinical Pastoral Education, in the United States, and I went there for 10 weeks. Later on, I moved to Sweden and I started working in a parish. And today, since about 10 years, I work as a chaplain at a university hospital in Malmö, being a Lutheran priest and also a diploma therapist in Gestalt psychotherapy. Malmö is a very young and multicultural city, and so are many cities in Europe today, many places in Europe. And so is the hospital we are working at. So we who are working at the hospital, we are dealing with existential and interfaith encounters on an everyday basis. Working in this field, I became more and more aware of my longing for the education I got. I missed the insights of my own interfaith CPE, which I did like 30 years ago in my surrounding. I missed it in my working field, at the hospital, among my fellows, and in society. I would like to say something about CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education. CPE was developed about 100 years ago. And the reason was that nurses, doctors, and other professions, they got a practical training, but not those working with encounters, not in the same way, not in the same practical way. Today, CPE is the most common education in this field, even in Europe. It is a practical training given by hospital chaplains where the participants go and meet patients and meet their existential and spiritual needs, and then they reflect in a little peer group, about 6 people, about what they have been with on. It is a reflection action model, and you can think like 50% is practice and 50% is a theoretical lesson. The central part of this learning model is to write down, to work with the written conversation notes. So every participant writes down conversation notes. And with these notes, we can work in the group. And you can think about it like working with a conversation, a real conversation in slow motion. Now, going through the conversation in the group, you have the time facing, the one who has written the note has the time facing himself or herself, her own way of listening, the own reactions, the own feelings, the self-awareness. And he or she also gets in contact both with herself, himself, and with the others in the peer group. So this is part of the process. And of course, when you go through the conversation notes, you also get to think about the patient. What is the patient feeling? What is the need of the patient? So you really have time to look at all these parts. And I can say CPE has given me so much more competence and knowledge, practical knowledge. But it was what I was looking for. I really got it there. But there's another very amazing thing about CPE. It gives the participants a very deep satisfaction that lasts for a long time. And for me, it still lasts after 30 years. We discussed, we discussed this effect of happiness or thankfulness or satisfaction, which we also could observe in our education, which we gave among the participants. And I could imagine that you see this happiness in their faces, perhaps. You can watch the film later on. I think you see it perhaps when they talk about the education. I believe that perhaps this happiness or satisfaction comes from the contact with the patient and with the others in the group. And she thinks, when we discussed, perhaps it's the contact with yourself that makes you so happy. We don't know. Perhaps we can discuss what makes people so happy. Today, there is not a regular CPE education given in Sweden yet, and not a CPE education with a certificate. In Europe, CPE is very common in the most countries, but not the interfaith CPE. So our wish is to establish a proper CPE education in Sweden. That would be wonderful. And to wake interest for the interfaith CPE in Europe, because we think that is something we need to have in the future also.
I'd like to tell you more about the course we gave. Well, we met 2 times a week for about 6 hours teachings in group. And we had also whole day lessons on Saturdays. The peer group was 6 people, a man and 5 women. 1 was an assistant, 2 were deacons, 2 were volunteers for the Red Cross, and 1 was a priest of the Lutheran Church. The hospital imam Alain Delic also participated. In addition to the teaching, the participants themselves worked with 6 hours of chaplaincy per week, partly visiting patients at the hospital and partly counseling on the call at the receptions or in the parish.
All participants got several tasks, things they should write down. About 3 times they wrote down such a conversation note I mentioned before, so-called verbatims. That is a whole conversation in order to work with us in a group as part of the teaching. The participants made also deep interviews with one another, 2 by 2. And the aim was to be able to really understand another person's existential way of thinking or believing. And you can ask as long as you want and then write down everything you understand and really try to understand each other. They also wrote down evaluations, reflecting on their own learning process, what happened for themselves, on the group process and on the leaders. And then the participants had to prepare meditative moments where they shared an experience or an insight which has been important for them during a longer period in their lives. That was the things they were working with themselves. During the breaks, we had the lessons, we had the breaks. During the breaks, we used to go outside to the lawn behind the hospital in order to move your body after sitting a long time, but also in order to get bodily experience and do some bodily exercises which had to do with our lessons.
Here are some of the subjects that we reflected upon during the lessons. We talked about our role in the conversations, about meeting and dealing with positive and negative emotions, about the difference between shame and guilt, about life and death, about stress, trauma, and loss, about meeting spirituality, religion, and concepts of existence which sometimes differ from your own ones.
During the whole day educations on Saturdays, we worked with meditative self-awareness. Meditation, self-awareness. We explored the power of silence. We did a little retreat. We shared our experience and beliefs about death and about what is coming after death and about what gives us hope. The theoretical teaching included communication models, conversation theories, and central psychodynamic mechanisms. Then we also would like to say some words about Alan. He's not here today, he was not able to come, but he was a part of our education, and I would like to say some words about Alan. Alan is the Muslim chaplain at the Universal Hospital of Malmö. His name is Alain Delic. He's a Sunni Muslim. As a child, Alan had survived the war in Bosnia. He was only a little child. And he later on got a profound theological education from Bosnia. And he also got a diploma as a Muslim chaplain through a Muslim CPE education given in England. So it was therefore very easy to work together Alan and me and we together, because we shared the same experience of using the reaction, reflection, action model, which is the practice conversation or role plays, and then reflecting on this. Alan came into the group at times. He was not with us all the time, but he was sharing about his life in the group, about his background and about his theology. He was also holding in role plays with focus on what is important for a Muslim patient to talk about, in what way shall we talk, and what is important for a Muslim chaplain to do. He also participated in a deep interview. He was doing this deep interview together with a Christian participant. And Alan also joined the outside exercises. For instance, we did an exercise together which was about facial and bodily expressions of emotions.
We hope that you now got a picture of the interfaith education we gave last summer. Otherwise, you will later have the opportunity to comment or to ask questions. We are now going to show you a short film. You have the opportunity to listen to some of the participants. They are going to share their final evaluations, which they wrote down at the end of the 10 weeks education. The participants were invited to choose from their evaluation what they found were most important and what they found worth sharing with others.
In the film, you will see us doing exercises. We are sitting in a circle and putting things in a fantasy basket or bag. This we did sometimes in the beginning of the session. We were to put everything in this fantasy basket, which was disturbing our learning process right now. So some people said, I put my mobile phone. Others said, I put some problem from work in this basket. And others say, I want to leave something concerning my family, which I don't want to think about right now. So this is what you're going to see. And after the lessons, we would also let the basket go round, and you could take with you what you wanted. But most of us did not want to have these things, so we left them in the basket. You will also see impressions from some outside activities. You will see some kind of outdoor exercise taking place during the breaks. On one hand, you will see the group observing and mirroring each other's movements. And on the other hand, you will see them playing a game, awakening positive emotions. So, as you see, we also had fun.